Welcome back to another episode of the Prolific Super Producer Podcast, where we are here in your corner as fellow musicians, people making music from our bedrooms. We got dreams for them. If that sounds anything like you, you're in a good spot, right? You're in some good company over here. Today is a wonderful episode. We're kind of continuing off what we did last episode, where we were just talking about, hey, what does it take to have a demo go from the demo stage into the final stage, like so final that it's ready to release. You know what I mean? It's ready to get on Spotify. It's ready to share to the world. Because you share your demos with a tight crew usually, right? But that's typically not the thing that you're uploading to Spotify via your distributor, So we just thought it would be cool. Hey, what if we showed personal, real life examples of a song that I had that from demo stage all the way to final stage. We're like, hey, let's do the same thing with Tyson. Tyson's got a song that we're going to go through today from the demo stage all the way to the master stage. So I'm very excited about this episode. If you didn't, get the last one, make sure you check it out too. It's just so cool because neither Tyson or I heard each other's songs from the demo stage to the final stage. So what we're listening to this brand new, in the moment with you, so we're giving our gut reactions and kind of playing detective a little bit of what we think is going to change or some feedback that we might have. So anyway, this is just a fun time. This stuff is always so much fun. But in light of that, if you're someone that's kind of oh yeah, this would be great. How do I turn demos into final songs? Well, there's a process. Hey, maybe you're even I would love to just get to the demo stage, which respect. I've totally been there. Can I just get a demo together? If that's you, I got a free gift for you right off the bat. Perfect companion guide for what we're talking about today. It's a finished songs guide. Super straightforward. It's 10 pages. It's a PDF. It's free. I put it together. It's a workflow that'll help you take a song from nothing, from scratch. 5 steps later, you have a fully finished song. And you can get that at finishsongsguide.com. Again, totally free, just a gift from us to you because we care about you. We care about you. We care about your music. We think your music matters. But you got to be able to finish songs to do anything with them, right? Finished songs are the songs that go somewhere, even if that's not, crazy professionally. That's kind of who we're talking to here. But maybe it's just a personal thing, right? Don't you still want it to go somewhere, aka off your hard drive into your car or something, so your family or your spouse or anyone could rock out to it? We're all about it here. We care about it all. You can go to finishsongsguide.com to get your hands on that. But perfect segue, Tyson. So we're starting here with your track, right? And you went a step further here. You have the not even demo, right? Would you classify this very first thing? It's the rough writing. Kind of set the stage here.
Yeah, so I guess the what we have right here is really just the initial idea for the song. So, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ruin it for Nathan here, but it's basically just me singing the song with a vocal, me singing the song with an acoustic guitar, and that's it. So this is actually the second iteration of that already. Okay. So I was trying to look for the original one. I couldn't find it, but this is the second iteration of just where the demo is at right now. I would classify it as a demo, but it's still really rough. There's really no final instrumentation at all. So that's what we're listening to first. Then we'll dive into the demo. Then we'll finally get to the final mix and master. So stick around if you actually want to hear the quote good version unquote, and you'll definitely get a massive payoff just from the increase of quality and just overall song from now until then. So without any further ado, let's dive in and let's listen to the first demo. Yeah.
They just killed FDR in the movie like Die Hard. It was heartless like Avatar. Raise the Z with that guitar. So I haven't taken psychedelics lately, unless you count that Mario the movie. Maybe we're in day on sushi. I can't think of a wife for the life of me. All this feels like a psychedelic daydream. Bitter thoughts like strawberry ice cream. More on drugs like caffeine in a preteen. I can't stop this psychedelic daydream. So men look like Iron Man, who said scram to that Abraham, who lived next to Paul Revere, and they cheered over cheap beer when the red coats drew near. So I haven't taken psychedelics lately, unless you count that Mario the movie. Maybe weird and day on sushi. I can't think of a wife for the life of me. All this feels like a psychedelic a preteen. I can't stop this psychedelic daydream. Interlude. And then swear I wanted my mind right, but I can't stop, but it's alright. 'Cause I step into the daylight, and it makes this last night seem like a daydream too. Swear I haven't taken psychedelics lately, unless you count that Mario the movie. Maybe weird and day on sushi. I can't think of a one for the life of me. It all feels like a psychedelic daydream. Bitter thoughts like strawberry ice cream. Moral drops like caffeine in a preteen. I can't stop this psychedelic daydream. Whoa, oh,
whoa. Dude, let's go. Okay. I got like my head is like spinning right now.
Okay.
Like I'm like, do you have something to say before I start losing my mind?
Yes.
Okay.
So the very first thing I want you to answer is, hearing this version of the demo, would you continue to produce this song?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yes. And I should tell you why. Yeah. Okay. Yes. I think yes, because I hear a story. I hear the concept like lyrically, and I'm sure that maybe some things will change a little bit, but I hear a story that's worth telling. And what I mean by like a story that's worth telling, I just mean like there's a concept, like there's a direction, like there's something there, you know, like that could be a guiding light. I hear that, but then to go with that too is melody. I love the melodies that you have, especially in the chorus, which really, like we've talked about a whole bunch, right? If you don't have a chorus, you really don't have a song. So notice what I started with. I was like, oh, there's a story. Love that. How's the story being carried? How's the story being portrayed? Via the melody, right? That's the vehicle for the lyrics. Melody's killer. I was like, I would cut that chorus. I love that. It's got that. And even in the way that you're singing it, this might be this is something I listen to, is how much, even if it's a demo, even if it's raw like this, how much is the singer performing it? Because it sounds like you're into it. You know what I mean? Like it's raw vocals, sure, but like you're into it. You're feeling what you're saying. That to me is kind of like an intangible kind of like barometer, so to speak, of like, okay, like if we cut this, right, and if you're thinking like probably like your world, right, like label terms, okay, we're going to spend money on this, right? I would imagine I don't want to spend a lot of money on a track where it's not going to be a good vocal performance. You know what I mean? Because it could be a good story, good melody, but if the performance isn't there, it's like that's a big hindrance to the track, in my opinion. So those few things off the bat, chord structure I dug, story was there, melody is there, and then the performance. I feel like this will be a maybe easy is the wrong word, but just an easy song to perform for this singer because they're feeling it. I can tell. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my gut reaction there, you know? And it's like I'm not going to sit here and judge the sonics or anything. You know, like this is just the demo. This is the writing. Yeah. This is the impetus, right? The capturing of the idea. And I also loved how you're giving yourself notes in this. I do the same thing. When you're just trying to capture the idea, you're kind of like restarting the verse 2 or something. You're like, okay, and then, and you're like kind of coaching your past self is coaching your future self on where you were going. I think that's a great use of this initial rough demo writing thing that you're trying to capture. Is it's not supposed to be glamorous. It's not supposed to be polished. The whole point is that you're just trying to stay in that creative zone and give yourself cues of what you're feeling in the moment. So I love that you did that. To me, Tyson, this is a 5-star rough demo.
Well, thank you. It's not even the one thing I wanted to add there is that the reason I wanted to start here with this song was to show you like your demos can be really rough and it's okay because we can like move them on into like final production. And I wanted to be very, I don't want to use the word vulnerable, but I guess that's the right word. Like vulnerable in sharing that with our audience and with everybody listening. So just don't be afraid to be able to lean into those. And like if you hear in the background, like I actually remember there's one of my buddies was actually like sitting right next to me as I was recording that, and he was just like you know making random like noises and stuff. It's like and like that was I don't know. It was just like an interesting experience for me because I normally don't, share any like early processes with anybody.
Yeah. Well, I feel like having him there probably because you're with your buddy, and so you're just kind of like you're maybe in a way you're looser. I don't know because you're just like, is that what you're trying to say? Like because you're in good company and it's kind of like. Or is that something you normally don't do? Is that what you're saying? I
normally don't do that. But okay. I think what I'm trying to say and what I'd want to communicate here is that don't be afraid to share those early beginnings of a song with somebody because they're going to be able to give you that initial gut reaction. And I remember my buddy was like, "Oh, like there's something there." Like he's like, "You should pursue that." And so that was like the initial spark of like, okay, like we think something's here. Let's like dig into it. So let's move on to the next version or next iteration of the demo, right? And this is a very iterative process. So over the course of this song, like there's a lot that changes. There's a lot that goes on. So let's dive into the next version here.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay. All right. Hitting play right now.
I'm flying off the deep end, and I don't want anyone to stop me. I've got my Darwin Buddha blend. Maybe I'll spike it with some LSD. Swear I haven't taken psychedelics, baby. Unless you count that Mario the movie. Maybe weird and day old sushi. I can't think of a wine for the love of me. Some beers like a psychedelic daydream. Bitter thoughts like strawberry ice cream. More drops like caffeine in a preteen. I can't stop this psychedelic daydream. I'm into everything, amen. Just don't include Jesus. I'll make my very own Eden. Deconstruction, be my own deist. Swear I haven't taken psychedelics, baby. Unless you count that Mario the movie. Maybe weird and day old sushi. I can't think of a wine for the love of me. Some beers like a psychedelic daydream. Bitter thoughts like strawberry ice cream. More drops like caffeine in a preteen. I can't stop this psychedelic daydream. More drops like caffeine in a preteen. I can't stop this psychedelic daydream. Swear I wanted my mind right. I can't stop, it's alright. Cause I step into the daylight. And it makes this last night seem like a daydream too. Swear I haven't taken psychedelics, baby. Unless you count that Mario the movie. Maybe weird and day on sushi. I can't think of a wine for the life of me. Swear I haven't taken psychedelics, baby. Unless you count that Mario the movie. Maybe weird and day on sushi. I can't think of a wine for the life of me. So it feels like a psychedelic daydream. Bitter thoughts like strawberry ice cream. More drops like caffeine in a preteen. I can't stop this psychedelic daydream. So it feels like a psychedelic daydream. Bitter thoughts like strawberry ice cream. More drops like caffeine in a preteen. I can't stop this psychedelic daydream.
Yo. Okay. This did not go the direction I thought it would. I'll say that. I will totally say that. This did not go the direction I thought it would. I know it's not the final, but from the rough to this, like,
What did you think it was?
A full demo. I thought, okay, so in my head, the beat is what got me. And it was a good beat. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the tempo, how you went with that halftime, boom, psh, boom, psh, right? And so in the demo, I was picturing almost like Blink 82, like boom, 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 like punk style, quick thing. So that's what I was like, oh, whoa, okay. And then I was like, oh, it makes it. I was moving. I felt like I was grooving with that beat, probably a little easier maybe than I would if it was fast. So I thought that was a cool choice. And then all the sounds, that's what I'm hearing. This is why I like, fleshed out demos, is because you just get into sound design starts to rear its head and all this good stuff. And so like the transition effects that you have in the back, the swoop, like that kind of synthy sounding stuff in there, harmonies that are coming in there. And by the way, whatever you're near the end, getting some gang vocals in there, like I forget where you said in one episode you were like something about your voice is like you can sing really high, or something like that.
Yeah.
And I heard that in one of those where you're like, and the life of it, you're like way up there. I was like, whoa, okay. So like this is, and even from pressing play, like I think I had a big reaction because I was like, I don't think, is there any acoustic guitar in this?
No.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, that's right.
That was just for the rough. Yeah.
That was just for the rough. Okay, so that was like, whoa, okay. So just starting to choose the sonics. The story obviously was fleshed out. And you have some really good lines in there. He's like something like caffeine in a preteen, drops of caffeine or coffee.
So the chorus goes, moral drops like caffeine in a preteen. So it's like
Moral
kind of play
drops.
on words. Yeah.
Got you. Okay, I thought that's a really clever line. And then like I like what sticks out to me is really, and what I care about too is like the story stayed intact. It got enhanced. I feel like there were more details in the ways you were choosing things, and so like I love hearing that. Like, the story propelled forward, and then sound design came along too, and like it's just cool. I just wasn't expecting it. The where it was going to go, which is so fun. I love that. I love being psyched out.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your thoughts? Like as you're listening back to these back to back, I'd be curious to get in your head for a second. What do you?
Yeah, it's
think?
weird. So knowing what happens to the song next is like changing like how I view this song or this stage of the song. And I was like, there's some parts of it I'm like, I kind of liked, the demo version, maybe even a little bit more than the final version.
Yeah.
I still think the final version's better. And so I'm really excited to get to that. But there's I think the one part that like I remember I was really not happy with was all of the verses. Like I really struggle with like writing lyrics for verses mostly. And that was the thing about this song is like I was trying to put it somewhere where it didn't belong. So that buddy who was with me when we were recording the demo, I was doing a project with him called Deconstructionism. It was like a concept EP, and so I was trying to put this song in that concept EP where it didn't naturally belong. It didn't naturally fit that. So I was trying to write verses to make the story something that I don't think the chorus intended it to be. So that's like overshadowing all of my thoughts around this. And so you'll hear in the next iteration, I rewrite the verses again.
Okay.
And so total, like through this whole process, I've already rewritten. As of this demo, I've rewritten the verses, I think, 3 times and then one more time before the final iteration is recorded. So this was like a very much an iterative process of like I thought I had the final verses and then like I remember recording the demo and I was like singing these lyrics and I was like I really just like I don't feel these.
That's huge.
And so I couldn't get behind the song as it was, but like the next iteration, like I think you can tell, like my vocal performance is very, very different due to the fact that the lyrical content has changed, and I truly believe what I'm saying.
I'm excited to hear that. Okay.
All right, so if you're listening to this podcast, then you're probably already producing and mixing your own music. And if you're unable to get that professional sheen or quality or vibe for your songs, then I want to let you in on a little secret. Most mixers are trying to compensate their lack of professional mixes by getting more plugins, by using more advanced tips or tricks or techniques in their mixes, or relying on buying more professional gear in order to compensate for their lack of quality mixes. But in reality, most mixers' core problem is actually mixing subjectively or approaching mixing from just a creative mindset entirely. Obviously, mixing is still a somewhat of a creative skill. It's actually far more objective than most people realize. Because if we think about it, everyone agrees on what a professional mix actually is. If that
weren't the case, then it would be an entirely subjective field. But in reality, mixing is actually incredibly objective because everyone agrees on what a pro song sounds like. And so mixing objectively can actually help you avoid being your own worst enemy inside of your mixes and ultimately allow you to just check all of the boxes that a professional mix should check, and then your mix will sound objectively professional. And so if you're mixing your own music and you're motivated to actually learn the objective skill of mixing, and if you want to ensure that your music sounds pro, then I would love to help you out by teaching you the 5 objective standards that everybody is judging your mix by, and how you can use objective mixing to solve those 5 problems inside of your mix, and then also how to do all of that in under 3 hours per song without pro gear, premium plugins, or utilizing templates or presets. So this is something that piques your interest, then go to theobjectivemix.com to order my brand new book, The Objective Mix. This will teach you how to mix objectively professional mixes every single time you sit down to mix. This provides you with my entire mixing workflow, along with all of the breakthrough lessons that I've learned in the last 16 years of mixing music. So if that is interesting to you at all, then again, go to theobjectivemix.com or click the link right below this video. Can't wait to see you on the inside. So with that, let's get back to the podcast.
Well, do you want to jump in? Or is there anything else you think you want to cover here? And
nope. Let's jump into the final.
Let's do it. Okay, so here is this is the final, like the master.
This is the final master that is going to be released as of filming this. It should already be released, so you can actually go stream the final song once you actually are hearing this episode.
Dude, how cool! I love that. Okay, so I'll hit play right now.
Imagination, I can't deny, I kinda like all this feeling like I don't belong. But I haven't taken psychedelics, baby, unless you count that movie on the movie. Maybe weird and day on sushi. I can't think of a why for the life of me. Some things like a psychedelic daydream. Bitter thoughts like strawberry ice cream. More thoughts like caffeine and a protein. I can't stop this psychedelic daydream. I think that I'll pay the price of all of this imagination. And now you're here, you seem so real. How do I know? I don't believe though. But I haven't taken psychedelics, baby, unless you count that mommy or the movie. Maybe weird and day on sushi. I can't think of a why for the life of me. Some feels like a psychedelic daydream. Bitter thoughts like strawberry ice cream. More thoughts like caffeine and a protein. I can't stop this psychedelic daydream. A ghost to you, all blurry sights, all what to do. Did you have to ruin such lovely nights? I don't know you, and you feel like a daydream too. So I haven't taken psychedelics, baby, unless you count that mommy on the movie. Maybe weird and day on sushi. I can't think of a why for the life of me. So I haven't taken psychedelics, baby, unless you count that mommy on the movie. Maybe weird and day on sushi. I can't think of a why for the life of me. So it feels like a psychedelic daydream. Bitter thoughts like strawberry ice cream. More thoughts like caffeine and a protein. I can't stop this psychedelic daydream. So it feels like a psychedelic daydream. Bitter thoughts like strawberry ice cream. More thoughts like caffeine and a protein. I can't stop this psychedelic daydream.
Let's go. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, that was awesome, dude. Oh my goodness. Okay, so right off the bat, or wait, is there anything you want to say before I just launch?
Nope. Go ahead.
You good? Okay, here we go. So I love the beat to change again, and it was like a hybrid instead of just a boom, pa, boom, right? It leaned a little more active than it was before. I loved that. I thought that was a really good choice. And then just overall, I mean, obviously, it sounds awesome. It sounds like a legit song, right? Because especially because that's like your domain, right? Like mixing, mastering. So all of that, like it sounded great. I mean, I'm sure everyone would agree listening. For me, from the songwriting side, I totally felt the difference in the vocal performance, but maybe it's partly because I know now, like you told us, right? Like kind of where you were at between what you started with the rough, where you landed with that final demo, and then to the final master. So hearing those lyrics change, hearing you being able to, like sit with your voice more naturally and stuff that you feel like you weren't forcing, because isn't that so true? It's harder to record vocals when you feel like you're forcing stuff, and that is probably something in my world of like sync stuff and service-based projects where people are looking for a very specific thing. It can be hard to vocally perform something authentically, like even in maybe a way that you naturally sing, it's like it can be just a whole thing. So I loved that change. I loved how that affected how your vocal performance was. Obviously, like the whole thing top to bottom, bringing in those killer guitars, bringing in all the background vocals, all the transitions. That's something I noticed here. Like it sounds like you were very intentional about transitions between different parts of your song, like into the bridge, out of a chorus, into a verse, in between a verse, like verse 2 and the second chorus. Like it's just very cool, intentional kind of blocks there that I noticed that really stuck out to me. And then I love at the end, like everything's, just kind of climaxing. It's the big crescendo. You're kind of switching up the chorus melody a little bit. Like it was just, I love it, dude. I thought this was awesome. And so like for this to go from the rough, that's for me is like, I just hope if you're listening, you can get inspired and you can hear what's possible and just like take heart that a song that you hear on the radio, a song that you hear on Spotify, a song that's suggested to you somewhere on YouTube or a streaming platform, right? You are hearing this final version, and it can be easy to forget how many iterations did it take to get to this section, So I feel like a lot of people, you're beating yourselves up if you're a bedroom producer and you're making your own stuff. You're upset because when you first sat down, you're confusing which season of the song you're in. You know what I mean? Like you're sitting down and you're trying to make a master, and it's like you get bummed out because it doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound like a pro song. Well, if you just started, it's not supposed to yet, right? Like a song morphs and changes and goes through the various steps of the process, like we're talking about all the time on this podcast. And so I loved, Tyson, I'll pass it over to you here in a second, but I loved just like your courage to like just share, like some of these files that were probably would have always been tucked on a hard drive of like where a song actually starts, because this is the reality of where songs start. They actually start rough. That's why that term is there for a reason, So just thank you for sharing this and sharing the progression from the very, very beginning capture of the idea all the way to the fleshed out end version. I just think that's really cool to share. Not a lot of people are doing that. So that was a treat. That was a treat for me. So thank you. But I would love to hear you from the creator himself. Like what goes through your mind as it was trippy for me just to hear my demo and my master back to back. What's it like for you now, especially with these three, just hearing all these back to back? What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I mean it's encouraging to me because I remember I was like struggling with the mix and master a little bit on this one because I'd spent so much time with the song, right? Like I'm not very objective. And so it's the hardest thing to get around, especially as a super producer, right? Because in all honesty, technically was not a super producer on this project. I did everything except for the drums and lead guitar. So
okay, I mean,
it was most everything, but I do want to give a shout out to Nate Yake because Nate played the lead guitars on this, killed it, knocked it out of the park. I only had to ask him to do one thing, and that was to add the bridge guitar.
Wow, let's go.
And so like that part turned out so cool, like way better than I had expected. But yeah, so if you're looking for some guitar, or honestly, Nate Yakes is just an amazing producer. So wanted to give him some credit there.
So cool.
But and I think it really like for the song, it brought in so much more like just creative intrigue. To me, like the lead guitar really added so much to the song. Whereas like before, like my lead guitar was like, it worked, it just wasn't good, right? It didn't add anything. So it was just like filling up sonic space, and that's it. Yeah, I was really happy about that. And then also, like, I used real drums on this project. Like, this is not a loop. This is not a
okay, that was going to be a question I had. Are these real drums?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. So
and you mixed these?
I mixed them.
Oh my god, dude!
Yeah.
Hats off, bro. Like okay. You didn't play the freaking drums, but mixing live drums, I would say, still qualifies you as super producer, man. That is no small task.
Yeah. Mixing live drums definitely is a specific skill set.
Yes.
And yeah, to be honest, like, I haven't actually done it that much over like the course of my mixing career. Like, I've done it a few times, right? I've had some iterations there, but it's just less common nowadays. It's so much work to get live drums. It's really difficult to like even get your hands on live drum recordings to practice mixing. So
fair, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like not as common. Anyway, all that to say, one thing that trying to step back and like look at my own song more objectively is, and I think the transitions are kind of one of the shining moments of the song, because not enough people put enough emphasis on their transitions inside of their song. Because if you have these meaningful transitions, or my favorite one is actually between I think it's the pre-chorus and the chorus on the second iteration of that. Or so, there's a break basically somewhere in there, or it might be before the pre-chorus, like second verse to pre-chorus. There's a break.
Yeah, second verse to. Is it the one I'm looking at it right now? It's the one that's like. Is it like there's like a little like thing in there?
No, that's the. Actually, it might be. I don't know. Anyway,
that was one of my favorites. I like that.
There's a trick. What I want to tell our audience here is that there's a trick. If you leave blank space in your production, it releases dopamine in people's brains. The reason why it does this is because you're as a listener, you're listening for patterns, basically, right? You're like, your brain is drawn to the patterns, and then you want to like track along with those patterns. When those patterns are interrupted, it like creates this like recognition in your brain. Okay. And then if it's a nice change, then you're rewarded by having dopamine be released in your brain. And so there's a bunch of ways to like increase the amount of dopamine that your song produces. And that's one way to do it, though, is like create breaks in your song as transition moments. It's one of the most powerful things you can do. Another way is like obviously like changing melody can be if you've like repeated a melody. So like the last chorus, that's why the last chorus has like a slightly different melody. So then it's like, oh, people are like, oh, like that's a little bit different. That's like cool, right? Because they've already recognized the pattern throughout the rest of the song.
Okay, so I'd be curious to know how long was this process? Like, if you can think back, like from that very first thing that we heard, the demo, right, the super duper rough capture of the idea to the final master, how long was that process for you?
I wrote this song in January of 23.
In January of 23.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the final master was completed in December of 2023. So it was a full
Nice. It was about a year, right?
11-month process, to finish this song. And there was due to a couple reasons. Primarily, or the biggest gap was not having anybody to record drums. Because I knew that I wanted live drums on it, and I couldn't find... I had like hired a drummer, and then he just like fell through. He just ghosted me after... He recorded the first song for me. He sent me the tracks, and I'm like, okay, this is like excellent. Like, these tracks are amazing. Like, let's do the rest of the project. And then he never got back to me. So I'm not going to say who that was, obviously. I don't want to throw shit his way. But he's a really nice guy. But I think he just like got too busy and was like, this isn't really worth my time. And then didn't want to like confront me, which, you know, it's whatever.
Bummer.
It is what it is. But that being said, that was like a big delay in the project. But then also it's like I just, wasn't really focused on my own music. And so that was another reason why it just took longer. But that being said, the active amount of effort that went into the song was also not insignificant, because like I wrestled with the verses a lot, like the actual production, there's a ton of time that went into it. So the average song by most producers, they put in about 25 to 30 hours, not including the mix and master. That's like what's average. and what most people like benchmark, like if you're doing this professionally, like you kind of need to know how much time songs take, so then you can budget for that, right? And you have to be paid for that, which is why it's expensive to get your songs produced.
Yeah,
because
yes,
it's 100%. A lot of time. It's a lot of effort.
A lot of time.
And so that was kind of like, that's the benchmark. I definitely spent way more than that on this song. Okay. I don't know exactly how much, but it was not an easy process. And this was one of those songs that like really stuck with me for a long time. And I was like constantly thinking about it in like the back of my mind of like, how can I make this song better? Because like it was the one song I'm like, I think this has the most potential out of any song I'm working on at the moment. And so that was just like always back there, like thinking about what I was going to do for X part of the song. So in terms of like mental space, it took up a lot from me in 2023 for sure.
Dude,
much more than all the other songs that I produced in 2023. So I'm also incredibly proud of this song. This is the best song that I've ever written, I think, at least to date. And so I'm really excited for the actual release here in a month or so.
Dude, I'm so pumped for you. And it's out right now, right? If people are listening to this episode.
So it's out right now if you're listening to this episode. So you can go check it out. My artist profile is called Hello Moonlight, and the song is called Psychedelic Daydream. So you can go check it out.
Boom. And again, hey, that's the title I would have assumed based off the lyrics, like we talked about, like with my last track, where you're like, go captive. Psychedelic Daydream.
The issue is nobody knows how to spell psychedelic.
Oh, come on.
So that's a
super
tactical It's not
tip.
an A. It's psyche. It's okay? It's not psyche.
My goodness.
It's psyche.
Dude, it's like, there's probably something to that as like a ninja hack, right? Like, I don't know. It's part of me is like, no wonder there's a lot of kind of just stupid song titles that are like so basic about an everyday thing. But now I'm thinking, there's probably some merit to that because the artist might be banking on the fact that this is easy to type into Google or like say or something, oh man. But
yeah,
awesome,
I think there's something there. Like Hello Moonlight, like not very many people misspell that one, so it's a good name.
Super straightforward.
Versus I mean, and it's not to say you can't be successful with weird names or like weird song titles,
100%.
But it's just it's a little barrier, right? So people who are, especially when you're first starting out and trying to be discovered, it's just that one extra barrier. Like Call Me Charisma is another like artist name that doesn't make sense to me because it's spelled with a K and not a CH, and so like there's like that barrier. It's like if I just hear the name, it makes sense, but then I type it in and I can't find him because it's not the way I thought it was spelled, right?
Yeah.
So he's popular enough; it'll probably still come up now. But
it's probably not even.
There's there's just a lot of.
When I think about the band, the 1975, like they have that. Is it a whole album? It's like titled A Paragraph or something. It's like I like the way you sleep or the way you look when you sleep because you're so beautiful and you don't know it. Like that's literally the title of the whole thing. It's like, dude, I kind of like that though. The artsy artist in me is like, oh, I love it.
Yeah, I'm just reminded of all those like early 2000s like alternative rock and post-hardcore bands that all had like 10 words for
like
titles for every single song. Yeah, and it's just like I remember Attack, so a metal band in the early 2000s. They wrote a song that was titled "What If I Can't Check My MySpace When We Get There."
I love it.
So first of all, you're dated because you're talking about MySpace.
MySpace, number one.
And then secondly, it's like, that's such a long title. Like, who's going to remember that? Except for me, because it was unique. So I don't know.
Maybe,
you never know. Like those hardcore fans are probably like, oh yeah, like I remember that song. Like that's, yeah.
Dude, it's like a buried treasure. Yeah. Okay, so I have a question here as we kind of like land the plane here. What is, as you're looking back through this whole process, what's just like a couple things that you, I don't know, just like if young Tyson is sitting in front of you, like what would you tell him just having gone through this process and having heard all these back to back and just the experience that you have now? What's just a few takeaways that you'd love to encourage people with?
Yeah. The first thing is like hold everything loosely. So if you have a, concept or a song already like in demo form or whatever, like don't assume that anything needs to be final. As you'll notice in this song, like the progression went from acoustic and vocals to then like kind of like the pop mix with lots of like keys and distorted organs and whatever else.
Yes.
And then it went to like a punk rock type feel with live drums and lots of electric guitars. So like it went through so many iterations of just like evolving to a different genre almost completely.
Yeah.
Don't assume that your demo needs to be the final version in terms of like the overall vibe. Like you can definitely change it. And so this is like a testament to that process, and also iterating right on each of those little sections within the song as well.
Yeah.
So hold everything loosely. Don't get too married to any one concept or one thing. That also goes with lyrics, right? I changed the lyrics multiple times throughout this whole process, especially the verses, even the chorus. Changed actually more than I thought it did, because I thought the chorus was pretty final when I first wrote it and first had that very initial demo. But it did change a little bit, like, you know, it's words here and there.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, that's the initial thing. And then, yeah, don't be afraid to iterate, because iteration will make your song better. Like, one thing that I learned when I started writing a bunch of songs, just like in general, I realized I held each individual song in less regard, in like a good way. I was more objective about them, because if I have 20 songs, I know that I'm not going to be able to produce all 20 songs all at once. And so I have to choose. I'm like, okay, well, this one's not really as good, so I'm going to toss it. Whereas when I wrote the song, I was like so excited about it. I'm like, I'm going to, you know, blow up, you know, massively with this song. It's like, it's not that good. I just wasn't objective about it. So the more versions of a chorus or the more versions of a verse you have, the less likely you are to be married to any one version of it, because you'll recognize the merits of all of them, and then you'll be able to make the best decision to, you know, whichever direction you choose to go. If that makes sense.
I love it. I love that. Because I'm your buddy, there's only one thing that I want to nitpick about this final.
Yeah, please. Okay.
It's really not that big a deal. It's just a personal thing. At the very end of the rough, your buddy in the background, or is it you in the background? At the very end of the rough, it's like I'm listening to it right now. Psychedelic Daydream. It's like a voice that's just coming from the background, like in the room.
Yeah.
That would have been cool to have at the very end of the master. That's all I got to say, man.
Oh, man.
Dude, no.
Oh, man, there was a... Awesome. Yeah, I was trying so hard. I recorded an album with my band back in the day, and the singer had said something like really funny, like when he was recording, that I had on the recording, and I was like, this needs to go at the end of the song, like it does. And he was so adamantly against it, as equally as I was adamant for it, so he won.
So so he won. There it is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and because he was the singer, right? It was just like,
he's the lead singer.
Singers get extra voting power. I don't know
or whatever.
How that works.
Yeah,
even though I was mixing it, I still whatever.
That's right. Yeah, like okay.
I guess I respected him too much.
Yeah. There it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Don't respect people. That's the moral of that story.
That's the takeaway from Tyson's song. Yeah.
All right. We should probably end this episode before we dissolve into complete madness here. So, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I honestly do hope this was encouraging you to really dive into your own demos and like really be able to be vulnerable with yourself, to be able to produce those, you know, maybe not so great sounding demos, to then iterate and improve them over time to be a final professional song that you're proud of to release. So that's the purpose of this episode. And with that, thanks for listening to this episode of the Prolific Super Producer Podcast, and we will see you next time.